Welcome to Act 2 You're On. Join us weekly at our studio roundtable as Rhonda, Kate, and Linda invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy. Launch your next great act with authenticity and purpose. Summon your courage, superstar, and step into the limelight. So grab a coffee
or a martini
and let's set the stage for a grand entrance. It's Act 2. You're on.
Greetings, friends. I am Linda Ty, and I have the great pleasure of podcasting today with my A2YO co-hosts,
Kate Levy and Rhonda Garvin-Conaway. And we are also joined by our very talented production duo, Kathy Carswell and Susan Nagel.
And friends, I am especially thrilled to talk with Laurie Seymour today. I have had the pleasure of getting to know her through other circles, and she's just an extraordinary person you know immediately when you meet her. She is a #1 bestselling author, host of the Wisdom Talk Radio podcast, executive coach, international trainer, and speaker. Laurie Seymour is founder and CEO of the Baca Institute. 20 years ago, Laurie was honored to receive the stewardship of a special energetic technology that accelerates the process of innovation and creation in individuals and groups. She brought that together with her years of psychotherapy training and practice and technical solution engineering to teach you how to reliably connect with your energetic creative intelligence, dissolving old patterns of difficulty, struggle, and self-sabotage. So I don't know about all of you who are our viewers and listeners, but let me just ask you this. Do you ever wonder how to get from vision to implementation? Do you ever have a vision and you think, but I don't know how to do it? And Laurie is very good at teaching us that we're designed to create differently. And without knowing your unique style, you could be doing the opposite of what you need to fast track your vision from idea to manifestation. And I know that's something I think about a lot. So I am so thrilled to have you here this morning. Welcome, Laurie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Linda. And Kate and Rhonda, I'm especially pleased to be here this morning because I have been in this last couple of days teaching others about a whole other aspect of all of this. And so I'm really interested to see what it is that we get to talk about and to share today, because the need to be able to take our visions into action is so essential.
It is so, so essential. And this always feels like my stumbling block. So I'm just like, you're the perfect person to be talking to. I feel like I have a lot of ideas. Mm-hmm. And I get the sense that I'm meant to be something maybe bigger than who I am or bigger than who I believe myself to be. But I'm definitely get stopped by my old patterns of thinking, my old ways of being. And so it feels like there's always a block that happens. And I may think that it's just everyday life. Oh, well, I'm too busy doing this. I'm too busy doing that. But I'm starting to think and wonder and would love to know what your thoughts are. Am I just blocking myself because I'm afraid, or I don't know how to take that vision and create it? So it's easier to say, have all the excuses, I guess. Does that make sense?
Sure it does. Sure it does. And it's the #1 thing I hear over and over and over again from clients, from students, because so many of us, especially those of us who are creative, inspired kinds of people, and I know for sure you are, and you all wouldn't be doing this podcast, this show, if you didn't have a great idea and see a need. And that's part of it, is that it's not just, oh yeah, we get lots of ideas. It's also that right now the world is needing our ideas. It's needing our solutions. And so when we stop ourselves by, who am I to do this? What was I thinking? I'm already overwhelmed. I have no idea where to begin. Well, yeah, I'm going to do it. I know I'm here for more, but then life takes over. We just kind of get lost in life because life is big. So all those things get in the way, but they don't have to. But we need to, I think, be able to claim more of our own way of being with actualizing our ideas. And we need to know a few key fundamentals.
Well, and that is
I love what you've just said. And for our listeners who are people who are beginning their next great act, it's what they need to hear, that the world needs everyone activated and launching and bringing whatever their gifts are and their joy and their love and their passion to the world. And so any encouragement and just advice as how to activate is exactly what we need to hear today. So we're thrilled that you're here to talk to us about it. I know that in your work, you talk often about people having an inner compass. I wonder if you can speak to that. What does that mean? Why is it important?
Actually, having that inner compass, and I'll speak about what that is one of my 5 essentials for being able to move from inspiration into action. And the inner compass is something that, well, let me go backwards a little bit. I was a successful psychotherapist for many, many years. I was working in all over the world. And yet I didn't really have a connection. I thought I did with that part of me that was the most essential part of who I am. Actually, to be really honest, I didn't know that I was lovable. I didn't know that I was loved. And so in my work, I mean, I did all sorts of things because I was involved in growth centers. I was doing all sorts of personal work. And yet until that, you use the word, Kate, of activation, being activated, until my own inner connection, my own inner wiring was activated, I didn't have a way to even really connect with or know what my inner compass was. And the inner compass is that part of us that helps us make great decisions, that helps us discern, well, I have 6 great ideas, but which one is for me? Which one is the one that I'm really meant to move forward on? And that's, boy, we know that place. We know that place of being overwhelmed or flooded with ideas that all seem great. But if you're a sensitive person, if you're a person that does tune into a lot of things, you might be picking up an idea for your best friend. You might be picking up an idea for your client. So having that discernment, having that connection with that part of you, that inner compass that can help you know which way to go, which idea to choose, which person you really need to connect with, and not just willy-nilly following every new thing that comes along, that new shiny object idea. Because when I follow my own inner compass, and I try to do that all the time, truthfully, don't always, if I'm off, I usually know if I'm off and it's like, oops, yep, I overrode, I went with what my personal will wanted to do. Because when I think about inner compass, what I'm really talking about is that part of myself that knows, that part of myself that is connected with creative intelligence, with that universal field. And that universal field exists. My inner connection with it exists. And I don't always pay attention to it. I may not even know how to connect with it. And so that is probably the most fundamental thing that I see with my clients, is that need to start developing that connection with their own inner compass.
I love that. That's such a great invitation for folks to be authentic and true. And it's essential as they're moving on to do what it is that's burning inside them or they're envisioning for themselves. Thank you for that. Now, here's a question. What is Tereya?
That almost sounds like out of left field because
But it's not. We know you're going to bring it together for all of us. So,
well, Tereya is the name of that energetic technology that Linda, when you introduced me, you mentioned. And Tereya is Mm. Well, it was brought through by my teacher well over 20 years ago. And it was really part of a bigger whole of a way of living life. But Tereya is a way of being able to connect with that inner compass. And it is the way in which, in my work, that I help people to connect with that field of a creative intelligence. So it is the way that inner wiring gets put into place. And it's almost like, and this might sound a little outrageous, it's almost like the installation of an app into your own system, your own energetic system.
I
That's
love that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Would you frame it as a methodology?
I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't. Yeah. There is a way of living life that goes along with that.
Yes.
But it's still not really a methodology. It's more of a, Well, I was initiated as the steward of this technology, of this energetic process. It's more of a process, more of an activation process. And it showed up, or it came through in two forms, one of a meditation form and one of a hands-on way of working with energy form. And yet both have as their essence that it's a way of working with higher consciousness energy symbols. So healing takes place, the dissolution of fears happens. And more than that, it's the quantum leap. It's like the fuel for the quantum leap to take place. To be able to say, okay, I'm ready for my next step. I'm ready for Act 2. And I love that you three are doing this because it is absolutely needed. We all have second acts or third acts or fourth acts. And we need to know what our purpose is. And that keeps unfolding our purpose. Because knowing our purpose is what gives life to the idea. If we just have an idea and we don't anchor it, and this is one of my 5 fundamentals, if we don't anchor it in knowing the purpose that gives life to that idea, it's like we're running on just a partial fuel cells. We don't get to have all of who we are. We don't get to bring all of our power to bear with all of the pieces of who we've been, because that's part of it too. We bring who we've been. I bring my background as a psychotherapist. I bring my background as a solutions engineer. They sound totally opposite, don't they?
Yes.
But I bring all of that to how to move people from inspiration into action and to follow that inspiration all the way through, to not leave inspiration just simply back with the idea level.
That's so fascinating. I think, for me, one of my blocks has always been that, I need to make enough money, right? So like the first thing is I have to make money to support my family. And I think the beauty of going into your second act, right, is you kind of live through some of that. And people always say money is just energy. And it's really hard to believe that when you're sort of struggling paycheck to paycheck, kind of like, living that life. But I feel like, I feel like at this age in my 50s, and I've been blocked by that mentality of doing that. But I feel like whatever I think that I need has always happened. Like no matter what I do, I'm still making enough money for everything that I need. So I love what you're talking about, because I feel like now is time to manifest my purpose. And maybe that also brings more abundance, or doesn't it matter? I don't really know, but it's about being more fulfilled. And I have a little more trust now at this stage in life that whatever I choose, the money will, at least if my belief stops at what I need, it'll come to what I need. And my belief can grow bigger.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's so true and so beautifully said, Linda, because there's that dance between receiving and implementing. And that's another one of my 5 elements of co-creation, which is we have to have trust. You use that word and it's so perfect. We have to have a little bit of trust that, well, I made it to here before. I probably can do it again.
Yes.
And yet I need to be willing to trust to step into that bigger picture for myself.
Mm-hmm. I love this conversation so much. I have 12 questions to ask, but I'll try to let you guys in at some point. No. So the work that I do with artists, with athletes, with students is often about dismantling self-doubt and these self-defeating thoughts. So I'm curious first with how do we encourage people to stop apologizing for their passion and their love and second guessing themselves and sabotaging. How do we do this? How do we do this more convincingly to just animate what's best in people and, get rid of that other stuff that doesn't help the world?
What I have found is that convincing doesn't work.
Mm.
Even convincing ourselves doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
That we can't really push ourselves into alignment, alignment with
Mm-hmm.
what I talk about, like alignment with presence or alignment with our purpose.
Mm.
Right. So we have to open up to that more. So it's that's why I have found that having this inner wiring with our own creative intelligence, starting to explore that, because it's all frequency, and that we are, if we allow, we're continually being upgraded. We're continually receiving new frequencies. So what the focus on that allows that self-sabotage and those self-doubts, which that was my thing, self-doubt. Self-doubt could stop me in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But that knowing that that place of connection, knowing the feeling of that, the embodiment of that, allowed me to start realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is my old pattern. All it is an old pattern. All it is an old pattern. And that because it was just an old pattern, I could choose, wait a minute, but I had this experience over here where I felt that connection. And that became more, and that just became stronger and stronger. It's like plowing a new path, and I might have to do it over and over again because it's that ongoing energetic connection that is essential to being able to manifest our great idea, to being able to manifest our next act.
And it's just so easy to slip down that well-worn path.
It is.
Yep.
It is. It is. And so we have to keep being reminded. And so what it sounds like the work you do is so essential for that, being reminded that there's another being, another, that passion, and that you wouldn't have that idea. You wouldn't be feeling that kind of passion unless you were meant to do this. My friend Jennifer Huff likes to say, the universe thought you were a great idea. And
Love
so
that.
Are you willing to receive that?
Yeah. And that's so interesting. And that living out of balance with what you're meant to do or your great idea that keeps kind of pulling on your coattails. Rhonda and I went to a conference once and they referred to it as shaman sickness, that if you're living outside of your passion, and this is for every human out there, it weighs you down, it drags you down, it aches in your body. Self-doubt is just so exhausting to carry around.
It is. It hurts.
It does.
Hurts. It hurts when we don't live the idea that we're here to do. And I'm really, that's my mission, is because I have experienced that. I know what that's like. And the world is needing us. So the world needs you. And so that means having the courage to step into that place of the bigger picture. That I'm not doing it because my ego needs to be stroked. I'm doing it because there's a need. And I've got to listen to that. I've got to step forward, because I think of an old friend of mine who was rear-ended 3 times before he paid attention. He knew there was a bigger picture. He knew that there was things that he needed to move into. And he literally was rear-ended 3 times before he was willing to stop and ask, oh, it's like, okay, God, what is it you want from me? Okay, universe, what is my next step?
I really appreciate you talking about the universe and this bigger piece and plan for us. So I wanted to hear from you, we all do, about the commitment necessary to both your evolutionary process and the evolutionary process of your actual project.
Wow. Such a great question. It's because it brings in both sides of that. We like to separate our own journey, our own purpose from whatever project we're working on. And I say that because we think one is big and the other is just, nuts and bolts. And yet that idea will never come into being with just nuts and bolts. The nuts and bolts, of course, are needed, but the nuts and bolts are not the whole picture. The nuts and bolts come where it actually can be guided from that place of inspiration to which nuts and bolts, we need to put into place. And so that allows that idea to continue to evolve, because we know that, most of my ideas right now seem to connect with doing things with other people, whether it's colleagues, whether it's co-teaching, or with bringing people together to co-create it. So I can't do that alone. So that means that other people need to be brought in, and maybe they're not ready. So that then it's not my fault, and it's their choice, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But that means that my idea may need to evolve. And if I stay true with my own process, my own journey, that means that I'm always going to be stepping into something new. I'm always going to be stepping into a new frequency, the next level. And I've got to bring the idea along with me in that way, because that great idea that you had has a life of its own too. And it needs to keep moving into a new frequency and a new level. And what I see with people that work with me over time is they are continually bringing into being the next step of this original idea. And their jaws are dropping by what's coming to them, to how to actualize it, because it wasn't there in the beginning.
That's wonderful life work. And it is what the world needs. I wonder also if you can talk a little bit about what it means to explore human potential through activating new energy systems.
Wow.
Is this a new trend in your work, or is this fundamental to
it's
who you are?
Yeah. I mean, the form keeps changing in some way, or keeps being refined. Or I said this the other day in a class that I was teaching on Friday, that we often go through rebranding. Entrepreneurs talk about the need to rebrand. But what is rebranding but the evolution of ourselves and the evolution of our idea? And then we start speaking about it in a different way. We are activated. There's a new frequency that is being activated. And then we need to embody that embodiment of that new frequency. And that's how we put into place the next dimension. And so, yeah, I think this has been true for me since I was little, that I've always known there was more. I didn't think about there was more for me. That was not it. It was just like, everybody else knows, but I don't. Everybody else has the, the secret book, but I don't. And so I always wanted to know. And that has always been what has moved me. And now it's that process of, I have that inner wiring, and that I need to keep receiving and implementing so that I don't just plateau, because that's a way for me to get stuck. And so I don't think it's really a new thing in the world, and yet the world does now seem to be receiving it in a very new way. It's like we're ready. We're ready to bring the future into the present.
I definitely feel that too. I feel like all this turmoil and, all this, it just feels like there's a big shift and a lot of fears coming out because there's a big shift, and more important than ever to do the work that you're doing with ourselves individually is to change our frequency and step into that new frequency so that we're attracting that into and spreading it into the world.
Right. Spreading it. I love that, Linda. Yes. Because if we live it, then we get to impact countless people. And because everything is connected,
Yes.
that we're really one field.
Yes.
What happens here on this side of the world affects the other side of the world.
Right.
Yes, we're living that absolutely, societally, globally, for sure. So we've come to this point in our conversation where we ask for a golden nugget, and I feel like you've been giving us pearl after pearl. But if there's something that you can talk to our listeners who are committed to reinvention and developing their skills, something that you've learned from your life experience or from your work that you do, that's a nugget or a kernel that will be helpful for our listeners as they animate what's best in them.
I think one of the keys that I didn't get to talk about is the ongoing connection with and communication with our inner compass. That it's not a one and done kind of thing. And that in order to navigate fluidly through life, and certainly in order to navigate through co-creation and that co-creation process, it is a continual process of asking, of communication, of asking the questions. What am I needing to do here? How am I needing to step forward over here? Who am I needing to call right now? What should be number one on my to-do list? And that we actually can do that. We actually have that ability. We may need to learn how to do it. For example, I do a twice weekly Terea meditation live online class, and it gives people that ongoing way to tune in and to connect with their own inner compass. But it's the communication. It's not just saying, oh yeah, well, I have it. It's how to refine. It's the refinement. And we have the ability to refine our gut instinct, our intuition, to take intuition into its real, true form.
Well, that is a juicy nugget.
Yes, it is. Man.
I love that. And I'm sad because I have been assigned the role of saying our time is coming to a close. But before we do, we would all, and I'm sure everyone tuning in, would love to hear what is next for you.
Oh, well, what's immediately next, and it depends on when this actually airs, is but they happen periodically, my next Inspiration into Action intensive retreat. And that is a 2-day class that is really about bringing connecting in with your own inner compass and being rewired and being able to then take that into the creation of your great idea, the creation of your next act. And then I'm doing, and this is so exciting for me, I'm starting a 6-month program for the conscious co-creators, for the innovators and the creators amongst you, to really take that a very, very deep dive into all of that in a co-creative way in a group form for 6 months.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, that is amazing. And I'm sad that we have to end our conversation too, but I just want to say thank you, Laurie. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful to have this amazing conversation with you. And I just feel energetically different at the, just talking to you. I feel my energy at a higher level. I can't explain it, but it feels very joyful, peaceful, and loving. And so you definitely, I can feel it through the Zoom screen. So you're quite extraordinary. And, thank you so much. And we can learn more about you.
We can, and we should. I definitely want to. I went on your website, and actually, I just from interacting a little bit with your website, I found out that I'm a bridge builder, which I kind of did know. But I think often we don't know what our skills are, and that was helpful even just coming to your website. But people can learn more about Laurie by going online to the BacaInstitute.com. Baca is BACA, the BacaInstitute.com.
Go there and check her out. And as you do that, just give thanks with all of us to our amazing production duo, Kathy Carswell and Susan Nagel, for helping us make this come to life.
And so
for having me on.
My goodness.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
You.
I feel like we could have done 3 more hours.
We want more Laurie.
So I think it's left to me to say, go forth, be brave, live well, and do good, because it's Act 2 and
You're on.
Act 2 You're On was brought to you by Act 2 Share Our Stage.
You can find us at a2yo.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please listen and subscribe wherever you find your podcast. You can support us using Patreon. Thanks for listening.